Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. Lots of interesting things to share with you today in this Cardano update video. Ultimately, the plan is still very much set in motion. We are waiting for this fourth wave to finish of our Elliott wave theory before then embarking on the fifth wave. I've got lots of things to share with you today, guys. We're going to be hearing from Charles himself in regards to the Alonzo rollout plan, where we are, lots of very exciting things going on there. We're also going to be looking at more of a smaller time frame, the 4-hourly time frame, because you've got a number of contradictory sort of signals here. You have broken out from your descending resistance, that's apparent, but you are now sort of formed a kind of rising wedge. You guys know we don't like rising wedges. On balance of probability, they usually spin to the downside. If we went and sort of throughout Cardano's history or Bitcoin or any of the crypto's history and drew all the time there was a rising wedge formed, balance of probability suggests they spill to the downside. It doesn't have to be with any sort of significance, and it could potentially spill to the upside, but ultimately that is something to watch. But in the grand scheme of things, guys, this is a weekly time frame. We have so many indicators to suggest that Cardano could be bottoming, and we're going to cover all of them in this video again. And I've actually numbered the Elliott wave theory because we often just very quickly draw it. But ultimately, the plan is still in play. I also want to talk to you about Grayscale, because this is Grayscale's holdings, their fund, essentially. I can't see Cardano on here, guys. So does that mean Grayscale haven't yet started buying Cardano? More than likely. So that is still to come. It's not shown up on here yet. I don't know whether they've bought it or not. But, the fact that it's not on here yet kind of indicates to me that perhaps they haven't started buying up Cardano yet. We're also going to very quickly cover Bitcoin because the whole market is obviously so largely tethered to Bitcoin, it's worth a mention. So where I want to start, guys, is taking a look at Cardano today. And it's currently sat at $1.40, down around about 2.3% on the daily, still up on the weekly, and has a market cap of 44 billion. Binance, pesky Binance, that seems to keep smashing us from that fourth spot, seems to just be kind of edging up. There's a bit of a battle going on here. But ultimately, guys, we still believe everything that we've said in prior videos. We spoke earlier about how Grayscale are essentially releasing a lot of Bitcoin soon, and how this may or may not affect the price. So on the smaller time frames, I'll quickly take a look at the hourly for you to see if there's any kind of a different picture being painted there, but it's very much and such the same, guys. Ultimately, we don't like rising wedges. However, it is only probability that it perhaps spills to the downside. We'll know when we get to this kind of apex. You could pop up or down. So that's a bit of indecision there, I guess, but like I say, balance of probability kind of suggests that rising wedges break to the downside. But even if there is a little bit more downside for Cardano, ultimately we still think you are about to embark in this fifth and final wave, which we believe is essentially going to take Cardano towards that $10 sort of price range. Let's quickly go over the reasons why we believe that, because some people, they get so fatigued during these kind of crab kind of motion periods. But ultimately, there's a lot of bullish indicators in my opinion. First thing I want to pull up is the RSI. You can see that when you get back down to this sort of halfway mark on the RSI, the 50 level, it usually symbols a recovery. And ultimately, there's a lot telling us that we have bottomed for Cardano in this full corrective wave, or we are very, very close to it, such as the volume. You can see here, even though the volume isn't very clear, which I'll quickly make a little bit more clear for you. I'm going to basically very, very quickly show you sort of 3 or 4 points with why I actually believe the bottom is, if not in, exceptionally close to being around the corner, and ultimately we don't want anybody to miss out on that. Can you see your volume on your when you complete your 2-wave volume? At the moment, things go low vol before picking up. Also, you can see how you actually completed your 2-wave. You came back to your EMA, and it was the very kind of factor that sent you upwards. Somebody also pointed out to me yesterday about the stock RSI, by the way, guys, and this is a very, very telling sign, actually, and it's something that is just another kind of confirming factor to what's going on here, and that is essentially when you get below here. You can see that this kind of range that you were in has really symboled a bottom time and time again, and ultimately so many confirming factors to the fact that Cardano, to me, is about to start moving onwards and upwards. We said our next move could take us to around about that $4 range. We think that's well within the realms of possibility, and in many ways is inevitable. Like I say, the short term, whether we spill out of this or not, is largely irrelevant when we know, unless you're trying to maybe get into an entry point, is largely irrelevant when we know where the price is going over the sort of mid to longer term, certainly till the end of the year. We're very, very excited. We're going to hear from Charles in a second. This was interesting because this is, of course, Grayscale's holdings. We were looking at it in our prior video where we were essentially saying, look, we don't think there's too much to worry about in regards to 16,000 Bitcoin getting released on the 17th of this month, as there's already been, I think it was 34,000 released up through the periods of the 19th to the 22nd of June, I think, off the top of my head, guys. Bitcoin's just caught in a wedge right now, ultimately. Not a wedge, sorry, it's caught in a bit of a channel. This kind of, it also very much coincides with your, not Elliott wave theory, your Fibonacci's. You're caught in this kind of red area here, and you are going to need a break, which I actually think is more than likely coming towards the end of this month. Once we've got past that kind of exhaustion stage in terms of the sell pressure, volume's gone very low as well, you are going to start seeing a clear and definitive breakout that is going to continue this bull run. You're going to see alts flourish, and then this is going to be the kind of confirming factor to us that you are now in that fifth wave. Elliott wave theory. How does my Elliott wave theory get invalidated, by the way, guys? Because some people ask me that. Well, what happens if it just, doesn't come to fruition? And remember, when we're talking about Elliott waves and we're talking about theories, that's exactly what they are, theories, guys. If you come below your one wave, you're invalidated. We're nowhere near that, and to me, there's no sort of signs of that becoming a reality. Ultimately, what we think is happening now is you are bottoming out before both you start essentially riding this EMA up again and continue on in this spectacular wave that I think is to come. I couldn't be more bullish on Cardano. What I'm talking to you about here, by the way, guys, there's nothing fundamental or technical in regards to Cardano as a project. This is all sort of outside data from what's going on with the actual project. So let's quickly listen to Charles and then let's continue on with this video and wrap things up. This is just going to be a short and sweet one today, guys. We've got lots going on. We are making a couple of series for you that you could perhaps watch in regards to a number of other things, like we're redoing a lot of our price predictions. We've got about 20 coins so far that we're going to kind of cover, that we're personally in and we believe should be brought to some of your attention. So let's listen to Charles and then let's jump into the rest of the video, guys.
And this is just the beginning, as I remind you. Each time we do it, it seems the population goes up tremendously, the quality of proposals goes up, and there's already a lot of talk about professionalizing incubation, acceleration, audit and oversight, and all the kinds of things that you'd like to see in a decentralized fundraising ecosystem. But the community remains tremendously vibrant. There are tens of thousands of assets issued on Cardano already because of NFTs, and certainly more coming. Over 1,500 developers went through the first cohort of the Plutus Pioneers program, which was pretty amazing. The second cohort is underway. And the 6 development companies that we were working with have shown some tremendous demos. So we are marching our way towards Alonzo White, should be launching next week. We'll be in that for a bit. Then Alonzo Purple is when all these people who are trained finally get to turn on their dApps and enjoy them, see them, and watch them flourish. And then it's just a race to mainnet. So short path forward, but a lot of work to do. Congratulations to all those who participated, including those who didn't quite get funded.
Yeah, so just a kind of basic update. It was sort of at the end of his, he was essentially congratulating people that got rewarded funding, and he just sort of touched on it. I thought maybe some of you guys might find that information a bit useful. I mean, this is on Charles' Twitter. He knows himself what's coming. Cardano ADA to the moon. We covered it in yesterday's video. This was a tweet that he essentially replied to. I have a feeling Charles is going to drop many bombs we are not even aware of when the time is right. Absolutely, guys. How can you not be more excited? I mean, I am really noticing a level of fatigue, and guys, you got to be in it to win it in this game. Cryptocurrencies for me are only going one way, and that is up. The level of adoption has not reached its peak. There are so many reasons to suggest that we are about to continue in this bull run. When we look at Bitcoin, not just, by the way, when we look at Bitcoin and Cardano, when we look at the cryptocurrency market as a whole, guys, there's been a lot of weak hands shaken out of this. There's been a lot of kind of sell pressure that has been vaporized. And ultimately, when we look at the kind of macro scheme of things and just the amount of indicators that we have. And by the way, guys, people will say, oh, well, in regards to the RSI, you haven't quite come down to this 50 mark. You actually don't need to. If you look at Bitcoin recently, and if you look at it in 2017, your RSI went kind of up. It had a bit of like a ascending support, if that makes sense. So you kind of made, you know, as you're kind of moving higher, you kind of come back and then, you know, end your bull run essentially. So we are super bullish. The stock RSI is not really something that I actually looked at, to be fair. I had so many people after last videos going, why don't you take a look at the stock RSI? It paints very much a similar picture. In fact, it paints more of a bullish picture. Absolutely it does, guys. We are unbelievably excited for what's coming. And if you look at the volume, bear in mind volume can work one of two ways. You can either have a lot of buy volume come in and it can really do wonders for the price, or you can have sell volume. And we know that the amount of Cardano that is liquid is a very small percent. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but out of, I think, like still $30 billion worth of ADA is still staked. So if you look at that as a percentage, you know, what's that, 75, 80% plus? You know, these are strong hands that are obviously, you know, choosing to stake their Cardano because they believe in it, they want to accumulate. So the sell pressure that can come for Cardano, bear in mind, remember what we said at the start of the video, I don't even think Grayscale have started buying up Cardano yet. They've not even really started to, and let's go back on Charles's Twitter in regards to this. Welcome aboard Cardano. We have adjusted the portfolio of digital large cap funds to now include ADA. So they haven't given us any transparency of whether they've actually started buying yet. This is all still to come. Your fifth wave, ladies and gentlemen, is around the corner. It's time to buckle in, enjoy the ride, get ready for what is inevitably coming. You know, we've just heard Charles speak about the how things are going. Things are going perfectly. In fact, in terms of developers testing out things like Plutus and that, it's quite a high number. Usually they don't let so many people, when these projects launch and kind of trial and error test nets, they don't usually let that many people work on it. There is a lot of people working on this, guys. I think often we just look at the price, we look at the kind of front end of everything, but there is a back end to everything, guys, and the amount of work that is being undertook on this project is just unbelievable. And I genuinely believe it is what Charles says it is. He described it as a faster financial operating system, and to me, Cardano is really a financial operating system of the future. And you need to broaden your horizons in regards to blockchain. We've likened blockchain in the internet very similar in how they are both disruptive technologies that change the world for perhaps the better or worse. But ultimately, when the internet first came out, its use cases were quite niche. People said, oh, well, you know, you can only do this with it, and it'll be good for sending mail, or, you know, it'll be good for whatever it may be. You can use the internet for anything nowadays. In fact, you know, we live in a generation where you can literally learn anything of the touch of a button. So blockchain is very similar to me. You know, I brought up McAfee, who died recently. Rest in peace. He said history would be completely different if we had blockchain from the start of humanity, because there would be an accurate representation that is immutable and can't be changed by the victors, because we know history is wrote by the victors. That's just one colossal case for blockchain and how it can revolutionize and change our lives. And it's what's going on here, guys, is a complete technological revolution. We've covered a number of things over the last couple of days that have been crypto related, but more macroeconomics related, like are we going to go into an economic collapse, a crash like perhaps Michael Burry had suggested, even though he didn't say it was coming anytime soon. He just stated the obvious, and that is every financial system in history has failed at some point. This one will do the same. But when that will be, and whether blockchain will be the replacement for the current financial system, which I actually happen to believe there's a possibility of that. I think more so a bit of the old financial system dies off and blockchain kind of morphitates. I don't know what the word is. It colludes with it and you know, it improves it, etc., etc. I think that's more of a likelihood. But we're super excited, guys, and this sort of $10 price prediction, or towards the $10, was taking the one wave, and may I remind you, which is supposed to be the smallest wave. Essentially, your third wave is typically your biggest, and then your fifth comes perhaps in between these, and the worst case scenario can be the same size as your first wave. Keep Elliott wave theory, guys, is so prevalent in all charts. Ralph Elliott was a genius, and he really knew what he was looking at, or he was certainly good at spotting the patterns. So the possibility of a downside, and the reason I brought this up, these kind of contradictory signals, is we know that these, but let's say worst case scenario, Cardano rolls over again. It's not going to go much lower, guys. There is a a point where the sellers just don't exist anymore, because only so many people, it's a very small number of people that actually trade Cardano. The majority of people that own Cardano, own ADA, buy it, hold it, stake it, forget about it. And that's the way you should be looking at things. If you are an investor, if you're a trader, then do your thing, guys. And I definitely don't recommend that people trade, because you will get wrecked. 5% of traders get wrecked, and everyone seems to think they're going to be in that 5%. Statistically, 95% of you aren't. If you can do it and you've got method and you're good at setting stop losses, by all means. But yeah, traders don't live the healthiest of lifestyles, guys, because it's a very emotional journey. I don't care. They say you got to leave your emotions at the door. Every trader I've met has been rather emotional at some point, whether they want to show it or not. I'm very good at picking up on people's kind of inner feelings, if that makes sense, even if they're trying to act one way on the surface. So that's really all I have for you guys. Remember, so many confirming factors. Look at the volume. We're going low again. Probably likely to do something like that, like we did after our 2 wave. We're in the 4th wave. No coincidence there. Look at the RSI and how usually you'll get a kind of ascending support, if you will, like a floor that you'll ride up whilst you make your highs. And the stock RSI. So thanks very much for you guys shouting that out in the comment section. And messaging me, that is, very, very telling. I mean, it's kind of almost signaled every bottom, if you will. So we're very excited. It certainly signaled the kind of end of wave 2. Could this be the end of wave 4? I would like to think so. Even if, any kind of movements you get, you're not going to do this, guys. So stop worrying about that. Now, bear in mind, I should say that with the fact that I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion that I'm here to share with you. But I think the evidence is quite obvious. It certainly is to me. Perhaps it isn't to you. But stay tuned, guys, because we're going to keep bringing you, and I'm going to do more, because this, believe it or not, is actually not in that much detail. We're going to really analyse this in more detail, because what we're looking at here, and this is of course Cardano on a weekly time frame, is the macro trend of things, where things are going. Seeing this is like looking at, into the future, if you get this right. Because if I have got this right, and it's not just me calling out this kind of pattern for Elliott Wave, there are plenty of great analyzers out there that are calling for a similar thing. We're into the money, guys, and you could be looking at 7, 8, 9, 10x this year for Cardano. It doesn't have to happen. You should take profits along the way for sure. You can see the market is selling off today. I think the whole Grayscale news, but that largely is, neither here nor there, with whether it could actually be more of a bullish thing than a bearish thing, like everything that we come across in the crypto space. So contradictory factors on the 4 hourly. This is the 1 hourly. But the 1 hour and 4 hourly, I guess, you've broken out your descending resistance, but you are still you're forming a rising wedge, which doesn't have to break to the downside. It's just that I don't like rising wedges. They, to me, typically don't end very well. You are also battling, certainly on the 4 hourly. We'll take a quick look at the daily before we wrap things up, because I feel like we spoke for long enough. You are still battling with your EMA. You're kind of coming up, getting rejected. You're kind of weaving in and out of it, guys, and we need to see a bit more of a clear break before we're happy. But when we look at the bigger picture, very, very happy, guys, and you should be too, I believe. Let's take a quick look at the daily. You can see actually your EMA now could be acting more as support than resistance, like it had previously done. Potentially looking like that. We'll see how these things play out. This candle could reverse. Still in that rising wedge, which we don't like. But yeah, very, very excited, guys. That's all I want to say. Grayscale thing, I'm not sure. So please, if somebody knows if they've actually started buying Cardano yet, let me know in the comment section, because from where I'm sitting, and if you look at when these were updated, ladies and gentlemen, these were updated today, essentially. I'm not seeing any Cardano here. So yeah, that's all I have for you in this video, guys. Maybe it will hit later. I know that they are definitely going to be starting a Cardano fund. They'll probably start off relatively small, and as the kind of demand increases, they'll keep up in it, which I think is going to be through the roof. We've already seen a real institutional interest in ADA, so very, very excited for the future, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have for you in this video. I just want to share it with you. I know people get fatigued at times like this. Just ignore the FUD. focus on the bigger picture, understand the underlying technology and what it could potentially do for the world, and the whole vision that Cardano brings to the table and Charles has put forward really makes a lot of sense. I'll see you later, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I'll see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.